Hi, Becky again from Genie Frog Crochet, and today's video we're going to make a start on part 2 of the Hexi V-neck jumper. So the first thing, sorry, my squeaky chair. The first thing you're going to want to do is grab a couple of stitch markers, or if you haven't got a stitch marker, you can just use a little bit of yarn and just sort of tie it in. And it's entirely up to you. It's personal preference how deep you want your V-neck to be. So this is going to be our starting point for our V coming down. So I've worked it out that I quite like this depth on my V, but it's up to you. You can start further up if you want to. But if you want to do what I've done, I've counted down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clusters and pop my stitch marker in there, and the same on the other side, 6 clusters and pop in your stitch marker. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some infill rows like we did on the back, but we're just going to do them on this section here. So I will show you how we do that. So if we start on this side, let's maneuver this round, and I'm going to be following my colour patterns that I've used all the way. So I need to start with my parchment colour because I've got 2 rows of that. And again, following, changing, turning every row. So I'm going to be starting with the back side of my work facing me. So let's zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to join my yarn. I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook and join into the corner at the bottom here. So your stitch markers there. I'm going to join into the corner with a standing double crochet. And we're going to do the same thing we did on the back. Again, we're going to start with 2 double crochets in the corner, because we're going to alternate between 2 doubles and 1 double to make the bottom straight. So we're going to pop a cluster in each of these spaces until we get up to our stitch marker. Oops, yarn split then. Oh, and I got a big yarn bath. Let's come out. Okay. So 3 doubles in each space all the way along. 3 in the last one there. And then when you get to your space with your stitch marker in, you're just going to make 1 double crochet into that space. Because I'm only doing 2 rows of the parchment, I'm going to fasten that off, but you follow whichever pattern you followed with your colours, or if you're using a single colour, now you just want to turn your work So what we're going to do to create the V, so there's our marked stitch with a single double crochet in it. So my next colour is the purple. And we're going to do the same on the front as we did on the back. We're going to do 6 of these infill rows. So that's the first one. And then I'm going to join with a standard double crochet into the top of this last double crochet made here. So I'm going to make a standing double into that one on its own, and then we're going to go straight down and make 3 doubles into that next space. So at this side of our work, we're just going to be putting in double crochets on their own to give us the slant down for the V. And then cluster in each along to the bottom. And I will do that, and I'll meet you back up when we get down to this side. So when you get down to the bottom, 3 double crochets in the last space, and then we're just going to put 1 double crochet into the top of that last stitch. Oops. And again, my colour sequence, I only want 1 row of the purple, so I'm going to fasten that off. And then again, I'm going to turn my work and get my yellow yarn. So this is row 3 of the 6 that we need. So I'm going to join again with a standing double into the top of that double crochet on its own on the end. And then I'm going to put another double crochet into that space there. So we got 2 doubles, 1 double, 2 doubles. So you're going to cluster then into the next space. And we're going to pop clusters in all the way up. To that double crochet that's making our V there. So if you just carry on, put 3 double crochets in each space, and I'll meet you up here to show you how we turn again. Okay, so I've got 1 space left before I get to that last stitch. And then again, you're just going to put a single 1 double crochet into the top of this double crochet here to continue our V down. And I'm changing colour again, so I'm going to fasten off. And this is all you're going to do for all of your infill rows, as many as you want, to match up with how many you've done at the back. So we're going to turn it again. And for me now, I'll be rejoining the parchment colour to do 2 rows of that. find the end of it. There it is. So again, I'm going to join in into this double crochet on its own, and you can start to see now how the bee, oh, dog doesn't like a car starting outside. Milo. Yeah, so you join into this double crochet on its own here with a standing double crochet, and then as we have before, you just then pop a cluster in every space. So I'm going to go down to the bottom, make a cluster in that last space there like we did for the back, and a double crochet on its own in this one. And I'm going to turn my work and work back the other way, and I'll meet you back up at the V section to show you how I'm going to fasten off there again. Just coming up to the last stitch again. So pop a single crochet, a double crochet into the top of that double crochet, and I'm going to fasten off that colour. So that was row 5 for me. So my last row on this side of the front of my jumper, you can see that lovely V shape there, is the purple for me. So I'm going to do one more row exactly how we've done the other ones, starting with just a double crochet on its own into that double crochet on its own. Like that. Remember, you want to make your V shape, so you're just going to go straight down into that next space. So you can see there's my V. So I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and fasten off after my last stitch, and then I will show you how we do the other side, because it's all going to be the other way around, if that makes sense, but I'll show you in a second. There, so I fastened off that. So let's flip over to our other side of our, well, it's a cardigan at the moment technically, I guess, until we join it. So for this side, we're not going to be starting down in this corner like we did for the other side, because this is the right side, so we need to start with our work turned. So we're actually going to be starting in the marked stitch. So, but other than that, it's exactly the same. You're just starting at the other end each time. So I need to do one row of the blue first for mine, and then 2 yellow, 2 blue, and 1 yellow. So that's the only difference, is you start with a standing double crochet in that marked stitch, and then again, to make your V shape, you're going to go straight down into that next space. It should always feel like your work is pulling and slanting down this way. So I'm going to go ahead and make my 6 rows for the front, and I will meet up with you when those are done. And I think I am going to, no, I'm not going to fasten in my ends yet. I'll show you how we're going to join it first, and then I'll fasten up all my ends before we have a chat about the sleeves. Okay, so I'm going to do my 6 rows at the front here. You do yours, and I will meet back up with you in a bit. So for this first row, of the front, sorry, we're starting up the other end, and then you will be finishing with 2 double crochets in that corner space, and then I'm going to fasten off, but I will show you, just because it's slightly different to what I just showed you. I'm going to fasten on my yellow, and because I'm doing 2 rows in the yellow, I will show you how we turn our work and carry on with the yarn still attached for the V. So I will come back to you when I get to that spot and show you how I do that. Okay, so I'm just coming up to where I started, that double crochet on its own that's making the B going in this direction. So I'm just going to put a double crochet on its own into the top of that stitch, and I'm staying with the same colour. So I'm going to turn my work. Oh, I'm trying not to get all in a tangle. And then all you do is, I'm going to chain 3, which counts as if we'd put a double crochet into this stitch here, and then you're just going to go straight in with your cluster of 3 into the next space. So it will look the same as the other side, and it will look the same as if you joined a new colour. And then carry on all the way down to the bottom, and make sure you're keeping your sequence of 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet on the end to make it straight. And then when you're coming back up the other way with your new colour, you're just going to put 1 double crochet into that space there to keep your slant going this way. Okay, so I'm going to finish my 6 rows. So what am I on now? 1, 2, 3. I'm on my 3rd row, and I'll meet up with you then and show you how we're going to join them together. Okay? So I'm just on my last row of my front, and I'm just going to put a double crochet on its own in that space. And then zoom out a bit. Let's see. So if you lay your jumper, you can always tell which is the right side and the wrong side, because this ribbon is the wrong side. So that's the inside of your jumper. So you can see, if you lay it out, that's where your stitch markers were. So your V should be coming down like this. And even though we joined, so all of your ends are at this side, for me anyway, with the colour changes. And even though you've done your chain 3s and joins, you can see that they match up. So what we're going to do now is, I'm just going to sort of turn it inside out. So that we can join. Let's just pop these sleeves out a second. and we're going to join the front in exactly the same way as we joined the back, which is why I've turned it inside out. So you can choose whichever colour you want to join. I'm going to do it with the purple because it's the one that's next to me. So all we're going to do is exactly the same as we did for the back and for the top of the sleeves. You just join and make a slip stitch join on the inside of your work. I'm just going to show you joining and finishing, but I don't need to show you the whole thing again. So yeah, if you go into the back loop only of your first stitch, and the back loop only of your first stitch on the other side as well, pull your yarn through to make a slip stitch, and then you're just going to do exactly the same as we did before, back loops only, slip stitch to join. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will meet up with you when we get to this last stitch on either side. So that's the last stitch in my cluster, back loop only, and these last two stitches you just want to make sure you're slip stitching through both of those, and then you can cut and fasten off like so, and then you can turn your jumper back in the right way. Put those out of the way, zoom that out a little bit, and you can see that's the front of your work. Oh, you can pop your stitch markers out now, you don't need those anymore. 1, 2. So you will see there is your V-neck. So I am going to weave in these ends and the ones down the bottom here. There's quite a few for me because there's quite a few colour changes. I have just completed one of these in a single colour, and it's lovely because you've got no ends to weave in. So I'm going to weave in these ends, and then we will come back and I will tell you how we extend the sleeves. Okay, so once you have weaved in all your ends, we're ready to do our sleeves. I've done the length on one side, that suits me. So I've added 17 rows to my sleeves, but this is entirely up to you. This is the point where you can try your jumper on. You can do 3/4 length sleeves, you can do open sleeves, but what I'm going to show you is how to do them and put a cuff on the end. So let me just show you how we get started. So we're still going to be turning every row. So I'm going to be starting on the wrong side, on the inside basically of my sleeve, and where I'm going to start is opposite the top seam. So this is along the top of your arm. So I'm going to join in opposite there, so that then all of my ends and my joining is under the arm. So I'm going to carry on my colour sequence. So there'll be another row of blue here for me. So I'm going to join into this space with a standing double crochet. And then nice and easy, we put a 3 double crochet cluster into every space. all the way around. So I'm going to go around and we'll come to the join and I'll show you what we do at the join. So 3 double crochet cluster in each space around, and I'll meet you at the join. Okay, so when you get to the part where you've got your join at the top of your sleeves, you're just going to do a cluster in that corner space and then jump over your join, and I'm going to crochet over my end here and do another cluster in the next corner space. Like that. And then again I'm going to crochet over my ends here to make it easier when I weave them in. So then you're just going to continue all the way around until you get to your standing double crochet, and you're going to join to the top of that. I'm going to fasten off then and do the next 2 rounds with the yellow, and then every round after that is just easy. You just join on with a standing stitch, 3 double crochet cluster in each space around, and as I said, I'm doing it for 17 rows, but it's up to you how many rows. If you want your sleeves a bit longer or a bit shorter, that's entirely up to you. So I'm going to do those 17 rows on both sleeves and weave in my ends, and I will meet back up with you to show you how we do the ribbed cuff around the wrist. Okay, have fun. Okay, so once you have got your jumper sleeves completed, as I said, it's up to you. You can leave them as they are, try it on, make sure they're long enough for you. If you'd like to do a cuff, I'm going to show you how to do that next. And then all we'll be doing then is finishing off around the neckline and around the bottom of your jumper, and then it's complete. So for this side of my cuffs, I'm going to be using my purple, but it's entirely up to you which one of your colours you want to use to do your cuffs. I just think the purple and the saffron for the other side are going to look very nice together. So for this part of the tutorial, you are going to need a smaller hook, just half a size smaller. So this is a 4.5 to do the ribbon. But before we get to that stage, I'm going to join my purple colour, and I'm going to do it again underneath the sleeve. So that's why I left my end here to show me where I want to join. And we're going to decrease slightly for the next 2 rows just to bring the sleeve in before the cuff goes on. So to do that, let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to make a single crochet. So I'm going to do a standing single crochet to begin with to join. So in this gap between my clusters, like that. And then I'm going to single crochet into the middle cluster of each set of 3. Oops. And in the spaces between the clusters. And we're doing this with the 5mm hook this step. So you're going to do that all the way around, a single crochet into the middle cluster, into the middle stitch, sorry, and in between. So it's going to start to bring that in slightly. So do that all the way around, and I will meet you up back at the beginning. Just going to pop one into the last middle cluster there, and then join to your standing single crochet with a slip stitch. And now we're going to do another row of singles, and we're going to do single crochet 2 together on this row as well. Just going to bring it in a bit more. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3, and that's a single crochet 2 together. Then you're going to put a single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to single crochet 2 together again. So under the first stitch, draw up a loop, under the next stitch, draw up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 3. So we're going to do this all the way around, then 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then single crochet 2 together under the first stitch, under the second stitch, then 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3 into the next 3 stitches. So you can see this is drawing our cuff in before we put the ribbon on. So 3 single crochets, single 2 together, one, 2, 3. It's a bit hard to maneuver your work now. Single crochet 2 together, then a single crochet in the next 3 spaces, and you'll get round to the beginning quite quickly, so I'll just do this one with you. 2 together, 2, 3 on their own, single crochet 2 together, and then 1, 2, 3, nearly there, oops, no, I want to do 2 together there, into the first one, into the second one, and then 1, 2, 3 in the last 3 stitches. Then you can join to the top of that first single crochet 2 together that we made with a slip stitch. And now you want to change to your smaller hook. You don't have to do this for ribbon, but I think it looks nicer if you do it with a slightly smaller hook. So I'm going to pop in my 4.5, and if I show you the ribbon on this wicked jumper, it's entirely up to you. The amount you chain on this first step will determine how long your ribbon is. So I'm going to be chaining, where it is that I've written down, I'm going to be chaining 9, and that will make this size ribbon. If you want to do 10, 11, 12, it'll just make your cuff longer. Or if you want to make it slightly smaller, you could do 5 or 6. So to start our join as you go ribbon, I'm going to chain, actually let me see if I can move the rest of this work out of the way onto my lap or something so that we can see better. There we go. Okay, so to start off your ribbon, I'm going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a single crochet into each stitch down, so we should end up with 8 single crochets. So you're going to skip the first chain and then a single crochet in each chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So that first one there can sometimes get a little small where you've been pulling on it, so that's why I don't often count all the way through my work, but I do when I'm doing ribbing. So I should have 8 single crochets every time I do a row. So this is the stitch that we are joined into, so we're going to miss that one, and in the next 2 single crochets we're going to slip stitch. So slip stitch in that one and slip stitch in the next one, and then we're going to turn our work and we're going to work back up along the ribbon that we've just started. So again, you're going to want to do 8, don't forget. So we're going to go into the back loop only. So we're going to turn this slightly. You can see your V's there. We're going to be going into the back one. So do a single crochet in the back loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And then when you get to the end, you're going to chain 1, turn again, so that you're working back down the single crochets you've just made. And again, we're going to do a single crochet in the back loop only. So make sure you don't miss the first one. It's right at the end there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Let's maneuver this around a little bit. So when you get back down to your base, you're going to make sure that stitch that you started in, you don't count that one, and then you're going to slip stitch into the next 2. Slip stitch, slip stitch, and then you're going to do the exact same thing again. Turn your work. There's a lot of turning with this cuff and a lot of manoeuvring around. And then you're going to do the exact same again. Go back down into the back loops only. Make your single crochets. Make sure you're counting. And when you get to the end, chain 1, turn, and come back down the other way. And you're going to do this all the way around. When you get to the base, you're going to slip stitch into the next 2, go back up again, back loops only, and that's what's going to create your ribbon. So carry on and do that, and I will come around and I will meet you to show you how we join the cuff together. Okay, so I'm just coming down this edge here. As you can see, I'm almost there. Four, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, all depending on how big you've done your hexagons and how many decrease rows you've done, but technically we've only got one stitch left here to slip stitch into. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into that one and into this joining stitch we've got here to close that right up. And then I'm going to do one last row of back loop single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then I'm going to chain 1 and turn. But what we're going to do now is we're going to slip stitch these two edges together. So I'm going to go into the back loop again of this first stitch, and I'm also going to go into the first chain of the chain 9 that we started with, or the chain 8. And I'm going to slip stitch through both sides. So again, the next stitch, we're going to go into the back loop and the next chain and slip stitch. And we're going to do that all the way down. Tok is rolling around in his bed, if you can hear a strange noise. He always wants to make a little cameo, does my dog, doesn't he? So back loop of the single into the chain, slip stitch. You can, if you want to, turn your ribbon inside out and do this on the inside, but I actually don't think that it looks that bad on the outside. It just looks like another bit of ribbon. So back loop into the chain, and then last one, back loop into the chain, slip stitch, and there is your ribbon joined. So what you can do then is you can fasten off like so. And what I do then is I get my darning needle and I sew it through to the other side so that I can then weave it in on the inside of my jumper. So then I just push that through, and then when I turn my whole jumper inside out and weave in all of my ends. So there is your ribbon on your cuff. So do that, the same steps for your other sleeve. I'm going to do mine in the saffron colour, and then I'll meet back up with you to just show you the last step of putting an edge around this V. Because we've done the two halves, I'm going to be doing this side in the purple, this side in the saffron, just to tie up with my cuffs, because I think it'll look quite nice. So do your other sleeve ribbon and I will meet you back up to do the next step. Okay, so once both of your sleeves are complete, we can move on to edging this lovely V-neck. So you're going to go back to using your larger hook, your 5mm, and I'm going to join my saffron first. So I'll be doing saffron around this side. Obviously, if you've done your jumper in all one colour, you can just go round in one colour, but I'm going to be changing halfway. think I'm going to start in this ribbon section here where we've joined the fronts of our jumper. So I'm going to join in this stitch here. So if you can see in that last sort of space there, I'm going to join with a single crochet, standing single crochet. And then really easy, all you're going to do is in each of these chain spaces, we're going to put 2 single crochets. Till you get to your, what was the corner space here, and then we're going to pop a single crochet in there, and then going up to the top, you're going to put a single crochet in each of your double crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3. All the way up to this corner. Then when you get to where your top of your sleeve joins are, in each of these corner spaces here, you're going to pop 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and then hop over 1, 2, like that. And then going along the back neck section, you're going to put 2 single crochets into the space between the posts, and you've got 2 doubles together. So 1, 2. Oh, I got a big flies coming, you know, dearie me. And then into this space here, 2 single crochets in there, and you just do that all the way along. So 2 singles in between the 2 bars, and then 2 singles around that one on its own. So nice and evenly spaced. Until you get right to the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put another single crochet in that join, like I did at the bottom. And because I'm changing colour, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fasten off. And then when I fasten off my other colour, I'm just going to tie my ends together just to give it that extra bit of security. So you'll do exactly the same pattern, 2 in your spaces around the other side. So let's join at the top this time. And I'm going to join with my purple. I'm going to join into this space again with a standing single crochet, and then round this bar, 2 singles in between the next 2 singles, just like we did on the other side. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then when you get to your corner again, it's going to be one single crochet in that space there. No, we did 2. I thought so. So it'll be 2 single crochets in that side of the join and 2 single crochets in that side of the join, and then all the way down to the bottom you'll do exactly the same. So 1 single crochet in the top of each of these stitches, and then 2 singles in your chain spaces, these ones here. So 2 singles in there, 2 in there, 2 in there, 2 in there, 2 in there, and I will meet you when we get back down to the bottom. Okay, so when you get down to your, before you get to your chain 2 spaces, don't forget to put 1 in this space here, then 2 in each of your chain 2s that make your V. All the way down. And then what you can do when you get down to the bottom, if you started in the same place as me, so I'm going to pop 1 single crochet into this join, the same as I did at the other side, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to join to that first standing single crochet that I did with the saffron. I'm going to join to that with a slip stitch and fasten off. And then, as I said, it's entirely up to you, but what I like to do, just because there's the 2 separate colours, is I'm actually going to just tie these ends off before I then weave them in, because it kind of hides the join there a bit, and you can weave your ends on the inside. I'm going to do the same with the top stitches here. I really apologise for Milo chomping on his toys in the background. I'm just going to tie those ends as well. Just like that. So that is your edging around your V-neck. Next I will show you, it's pretty much the same, how to do your edging around the bottom. And I'll just quickly show you before we do the bottom, because you do have some options here if you want. So I made another version of this Hexi jumper in a variegated yarn and a solid colour. So I went all around with my solid colour at the top. I did my cuffs in the solid colour, and I did a ribbon around the bottom. Now what you can do is exactly the same as you did for your cuffs. I obviously chained a few more, so I think I chained 12, and you don't have to decrease, so you just do a row of single crochets first all around the edge, then you can do some ribbing if you choose to do that. I am going to show you though how I did. So if I show you the Wicked version, I'll show you I did the same sort of join along the bottom as I did on the neckline. So I'll show you how we do that in these lovely colours chosen by my granddaughter. So I'm just going to join with my purple, and it's the same principle, it's just a simple row of single crochets around the bottom. The only different parts is obviously where we've put out infill rows, and you just do exactly the same as we did when we were doing the neckline. So I'm going to join in that join there with a standing single crochet. So somewhere. There we go. I'm going to join in there, and in your infill rows, you just put 1, 2 single crochets around that first bar, and then 2 around the second. So you just go along in 2s, until you get to your corner where your original, so this was our original hexagon, this part here. So you're just going to pop 1 in that corner space there, and then all the way around until you get to the same kind of stitches at the back. You just put 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to do that, and I will meet back up with you at the back where I'm going to join my saffron. So I'm just going to put my last stitch in there, and I'm going to fasten off. You could, if you wanted, change colours by starting your stitch with this colour and change with your new colour, but I prefer to do it this way. It's personal preference, as is a lot of things in crochet. There's no right or wrong way. You do it whichever way suits you. So that's my purple row. So if you did want to do the ribbon around the waist, around the waistband, you would just do this step, do your single crochets all the way around, and then you'd swap to a smaller hook and do your ribbon. And because you swap into a smaller hook and you're slip stitching, it would automatically bring your waistline in a little bit anyway. So I'm just going to join my saffron for my last little bit. I'm going to join in this space here with a standing single, and then the same 2 stitches around each double crochet post along the infill rows. And then 1 in that corner space, and then I'm going to be doing 1 in every stitch around until I get to the front, and I will meet you there. So there, just finishing off last 2 stitches and 1 in the join, and like I did in the neckline, I'm just going to join to that first single with a slip stitch, like so. Fasten off, and then I will tie my my beginnings and my ends together like I did in the neckline. But there you have your completed, I spin it around, V-neck. So I will be weaving in all my ends. I got a bit obsessed with making V-necks. So obviously I made the Wicked version to begin with, which kicked off this obsession. I have also, as I showed you, made one with a variegated yarn, with a ribbon. There's lots of scope for customizing. I also did one in a solid colour. Let me turn it around so I can show you. And this lovely parchment. And I customized the sleeves by putting on, so this is my daisy square. I've got a tutorial for this one. I may do a tutorial, a separate one, of how to customize your sleeves if I have time. But it was really simple, just a little bit of maths and a little bit of experimentation, but that's what it's all about. It's all good fun. And then put in this lovely ruffled, so these are bell sleeves. So yeah, I hope you are happy and have fun customizing your makes, and let me know in the comments how you get on. We've got a crochet community group over on Facebook if you want to come and join in that. It's a lovely little group. We all have a laugh and have a chat and support each other and show our work, and it's fun and fab. Thank you so much for joining me. Drop a comment and don't forget to like the video if you've enjoyed. If you found this helpful, you can donate the price of a coffee to me if you'd like with my Ko-fi. The link is in the description box. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.